Hey there, and welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. If you're looking to get more sales, more customers, master your marketing, and ultimately take control of your retail or e-commerce business, then you're in the right place. I'm Selena Knight, a retail growth strategist and multi-award-winning store owner whose superpower is uncovering exactly what your business requires to move to the next level. I'll provide you with the strategies, the tools, and the insight you need to scale your store. All you need to do is take action. Ready to get started? Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. A couple of weeks ago, I was asked to come on to a podcast, and it was a little bit out of my comfort zone because normally when I hop on a podcast, I talk about something retail or e-commerce related. But this podcast was for some software that we use. And the guy that was hosting the podcast, in my mind, really was an expert in the software that we were discussing. I mean, I've been using it for a while. It's doing some really cool things in our business to free up resources, and definitely our customer experience has up-leveled as a result. And I can see how it's just going to get better the more advanced and the more time that we can spend looking around and seeing what this software can do. And so I am in the developers Facebook group, and there are a whole bunch of tech guys who are just blowing it out of the water with what they have implemented with this software. Now, I haven't done anything advanced. In fact, most of my team don't even use this software. It's something that I brought into the business, and I wanted to play around with it to see if it, was worth the effort. And it has been. And so over the next few weeks or few months, we'll start to bring the team in and get them to understand how it works. So when I was asked to feature on this software-specific podcast, I only said yes because in this group of probably 2,500 users, there are less than 10 women. Yep, less than 10 women who are in all different fields who are using this software, and it's marketing software. And so I thought that I would stand up for the girls in the tech world, and yes, I would talk about what I was doing on this podcast. And so before the podcast started, I have to admit, it's not very often that I freak out a little bit because, I'm usually going in to talk about something that I know and something I can talk, backwards, sideways, around the corner. I'm at the point now in my business where if I was at a conference and there wasn't someone had failed to show up, I would just put my hand up and say, I can talk for half an hour. What do you want me to talk about? I'm good. And so before I came onto this podcast, I was really worried. I was freaking out a little bit. And normally when I have someone on my podcast, I actually do like a little 10 or 15 minute chat before we do the episode to make sure we're on the same page, to understand where the conversation is going to go, any specific questions the guest might want me to ask. But this one was like, nope, you just show up and we'll record it. And no one wants to be on a show and look like an idiot, especially when it is a tech-specific podcast. But that is how I felt because honestly, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I mean, there were all these other people who were doing fabulous things, and I thought, doing some really basic stuff with it. In the end, I figured, heck, I have done probably close to 1,000 podcasts now. I'm sure I can wing it. I'm sure I can, talk about something. I'll talk about retail if I have to bring the conversation back to that. And so I messaged the host beforehand, do I need to prep anything? And he's like, no, you just turn up. And the morning comes, I did my team call. I go straight off my team call and on to the Zoom link. And I'm doing it with butterflies in my stomach because here I am to talk about software. I am not a developer. I just, have an interest in tech, and I'm sure that other people would think I'm not very technological, but I kind of understand automations. I don't know how to code anything, but I understand logic. And I think you kind of need to understand logic. And if you get logic, you get kind of how software works. So I hop onto this podcast with butterflies in my stomach, and the host asked me about what do I do and who do I work with, and the fact that I'm not a developer comes up. Now, this software is usually software that you would build something on and then resell it. We don't resell the software. We just use it internally in our business, which is very, very different to probably 99% of the other people who are in that group and who are listening to this podcast. So the host was fantastic, and it didn't take long for me and him to start completely nerding out about workflows and customer experience. And during the conversation, I mentioned about how we use colors to remove people from workflows. And of course, the host looks at me and he's like, "You what? Say what? Can you tell me more about that?" And I said to him, "Well, once you have someone on your customer database, you want to be able to market to them. I mean, essentially, that's why they're there, right? And so not every person is going to want every promotion that you ever put out. You and I both know that. And so what we do in our text message promotions is we always have a color to opt out. So it might say our Black Friday one is comment purple to no longer get any Black Friday messages. And in the background, when someone comments, replies back onto the SMS with purple, it takes them out of the workflow. Now they can always go back into the workflow next year, but using different colors. So we have yellow or maroon when you come into our customer pipeline and you potentially are looking at booking a call with my team to do a strategy call, it's comment maroon. I literally know workflows by colors. And so I'm explaining it to him. And he's just looking at me going like, "Guys, you've got to be listening to this. You've got to be listening to this." And I said to him, "But surely that's like something that everybody does?" And he's like, no, 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 but it's brilliant. I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." And so the conversation continues on, and we talk about what we've built with this software and how it's working with our customer experience. And during that conversation, the next thing that comes up is I mention how, just like the colors in our email sequences, we have specific email flow unsubscribes. Now, let me just explain that for anyone who is technologically challenged or just doesn't love tech as much as I do. So when you opt into somebody's email database, you always have, well, hopefully you always have the unsubscribe at the bottom. Now, sometimes you don't want to unsubscribe from everything. You might just not want the Mother's Day campaign. Maybe your mother's passed away and you don't want to see those emails in your inbox, or you don't want the Black Friday deals because you aren't going to be in the country to buy the things. And so what we have with all of our promotions, just like in the text messaging, is under the PS, there's nearly always a PS. It says, if you no longer want Black Friday promotion emails, click here to opt out. Or if you no longer want Mother's Day emails, click here to opt out. Now, what that does, once again, just like the colors, is it removes somebody from the workflow, but then they can still get my newsletter emails, or they can get any transactional emails like receipts or updates for policies or anything else that they might want, that they might be subscribed to. And so I'm talking about this like it's nothing, and the host actually seems shocked once again. And so I stop and I say, "Jeff, you've been in this industry for a long time. You literally build workflows out all day. Haven't you always done this?" And he says, "No. But I can guarantee you that straight after this podcast, I will be getting on a team meeting and we will be implementing that today." And so for an hour, it kind of goes a little something like that. When we do this, blah, 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 blah. Jeff asking me to walk everyone through either the tech behind it or the why behind it. And so during that podcast, it made me realize a lot of things. I thought everyone was doing things, but they just weren't doing them. I thought that this was obvious to people, but it wasn't. All I thought I was doing was walking through what it would be like from the customer's point of view. It seemed so obvious. But what I'd overlooked, however, was that we all have different perspectives and we all have different ways of doing things. You can get the same result in so many different ways. It doesn't mean that one way is more right than another. And you know this as well as I do. You can make a sale, but that sale can come through so many different channels. It doesn't mean that one is more right than the other. I had made an assumption and I had assumed completely incorrectly. So, whilst that podcast was supposed to be all around the technical side of how we were using the software, what it ended up becoming was a podcast on customer acquisition and the customer journey. Now, I spent a lot of years standing behind the counter of my store thinking that if I could just get more customers, I would have more sales coming in, which would mean more money in the bank, and it wouldn't be long before I was sipping Mai Tais on the beach in San Diego. But the reality was very, very different. I was so busy ping-ponging around doing 11 billion different things in my business that I wasn't truly putting the time and the energy into what I thought was the biggest problem, getting more customers. Sure, I would post on social media here and there, I would send out emails, but in those early days, I never had a true customer acquisition strategy. These days, it's very, very different. Now, every day, we help brick and mortar and e-commerce retailers to take the right actions that will help them get more sales, more growth, and of course, more customers. I have worked with retailers from dancewear to dog coats and from fashion to exotic fish. And when these business owners tell me that they need more customers, but no one is buying, or ads just don't work, or they've been shadow banned on Instagram, here's what I ask them. I look them in the eye and say, if you truly believe that you need more customers to grow your business, how much time have you actually spent creating marketing and advertising campaigns that focus on driving more people to your store or to your website? How much time have you spent making sure that from the minute somebody hears about your store to the time that they make their last purchase, you are putting them, the customer, first? How much time have you spent mapping out the customer journey, bringing your team on board? You're bringing your marketing agency on board and saying, this is what it looks like when people shop with us. Because if you are going to attract new customers, this is what it looks like. And this is how much I'm prepared to spend to get more customers. So if you truly believe that more customers would fix your problems, let me ask you again. How many hours in this past day, in this past week, in this past month, how many hours of every single day did you focus on tasks that focused around getting new customers? That's what I thought. And so what I want to show you today is some of I thought this was stinking obvious, but no one seems to be doing it, ways to get more customers. Over the years, I have consistently seen that there are 3 things that pretty much crush otherwise strong businesses. And they are a lack of knowledge, a lack of focus, and a lack of support. Bear with me. I'm going to get to those customer acquisition strategies. And you probably thought I was going to say just then, running out of money, running out of time, and not having enough customers. Yeah? Well, the thing is, you're kind of right. Running out of time, running out of money, and not having enough customers do bring down a business. But here's the thing. They are just the symptoms. So let's take running out of money as an example. I would say 80 to 90% of businesses that go out of business do so because they run out of cash. So why do they run out of cash? Well, generally it's because they don't understand pricing for profit or managing inventory or how money flows into, around, and out of their business, which is all of the money pillar stuff that we work on. It could be a lack of knowledge around how money works in your business, or it could just be a lack of focus. They're doing too many things to focus on making money. Now, they also run out of cash because the owner is running around fighting fires, doing all of the things themselves and telling everybody else that they are too busy to stop and spend time to look over the numbers, to map out their customer journey. So, sure, knowledge can be a big hurdle. And if you don't know how to do something, then sure, you need more knowledge. You don't need to run yourself ragged. You don't need to be busy for the sake of being busy, because you can't just use "I'm too busy" as a chance of, if I just keep doing something, something might work. Because all that's going to happen is you are going to run yourself into the ground. Being busy is not a badge of honor. What it is really saying is that you are not in control of your business. Okay, so it could be a lack of knowledge, it could be a lack of focus, or it could be a lack of support. Not having those key people in your business to make sure that the things that need to be done are getting done, or not having those key people in your business who are holding you accountable, because you are the leader of the business. And if you are, and I'm air quoting here, if you are air quoting too busy to lead and manage your team, then what you really have is a leadership problem, not a customer problem. So I said that there are 3 reasons about why people run out of money: knowledge, focused, and support. Now, this doesn't mean that there is never a time and a place to focus on customer acquisition. Of course, you have to constantly be filling up your customer funnel. And I know for me, that is something that we work on every single day. And hopefully you can see that sometimes when it comes to something like getting more customers, what we think is the obstacle is I don't have enough customers or I don't know what to do. The simple fact is they are just symptoms, and they are stopping us from getting to where we actually want to be. And the key to getting the results that you want and making more money and having the freedom that you want to work on the things in your business that you enjoy, rather than spending hours writing emails or uploading products to the website, the key to success is focusing on the obstacle. And that obstacle is the limiting factor that is hindering the business growth. So you need to ask yourself, what is the one thing? If I just worked on this one thing, if I solved this one problem, if I hit this one obstacle and I managed to solve it, would it free up more time or more money or more resources? And that, my friends, is the answer to what you should be doing in your business. So let us bring this back to getting you more customers. So for this example, let's say that you own a bricks and mortar store with an online shop as well, and you sell kitchenwares. Think Williams Sonoma. I love that store. I don't buy very much because I don't have the need to spend ridiculous amounts of money on $80 bakeware or those cool cocktail kits that cost $60 without the alcohol, or the super fancy ice cream scoop that costs $50. So let's say that you run this bricks and mortar store that also has an e-commerce store selling these beautiful kitchenware items. You have got a great conversion rate. Your average order value sits at a really healthy $150, and your team work well and they provide great service. But your sales have dropped. And you know this because you've been watching the numbers, and there has been a significant drop of people into the store by 30%. And online, your traffic has dropped 50%. That's a lot. Half as many people coming to the website is going to impact your sales. So you can do 2 things. First up, you can blame everyone. Right now, the economy is rocky. The media is telling us that no one is buying, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that you have no control over getting people into your business. Or perhaps you even just posted something in a Facebook group recently about how sales are down. Is anybody else experiencing that? And a bunch of people jumped in to tell you how crappy business was at the moment. Right. So you could do that. You could feel justified that your sales are down because, heck, everybody else is suffering right now too. But that is a very shopkeeper mindset. Boo-hoo, I have no control of what happens in my business. But you are not that person, are you? Because you are here listening to this podcast. So option 2 is that you set about putting a clear plan in place to get more customers. Already, you have a good social content calendar. You post on Facebook and you post on Instagram, you TikTok with the best of them. You're even pinning recipes and products on Pinterest. So what do you do to get more customers? Well, a savvy business owner like you goes and looks at the customer journey and who their best customer is. And let's say that best customer is called Kelly. And you realize that Kelly is a professional woman with a really healthy disposable income. She's got no kids and she loves to entertain. Kelly and all of her friends like her are the ones who are dropping $195 on a beautiful tablecloth, my friends. So some retailers would take this information and start spending a lot of money on ads that focus on professional women like Kelly. Me, I'm kind of more of a grassroots kind of girl. I'm a tight ass, right? I like to test things out before I spend thousands of dollars. I like to use what I've got first, test and measure. So at this point, I would be asking myself, what seems blindingly obvious for me that other people might not be doing or they might not be seeing? And the answer, my friends, is a question that I have asked retailers who are doing 6, 7, and 8 figures. You want to know what the question is? Do you post on LinkedIn? And the answer is that 90% of people don't. Now, when I owned a store, one of my stores was on the fringe of the CBD, and it never really occurred to me that corporate gifts were a seriously viable option. Remember, I had no retail training back in the day. I had to learn this stuff myself. And it was a few years in when I opened that second store, and I had a kind of a fledgling speaker career. It was totally accidental. I was doing workshops for local councils and for other organizations because I was the only one doing what I was doing. And so it kind of seemed like a no-brainer to me to be posting on LinkedIn. And what I was posting was more of my speaking and workshop type stuff. But of course, as people are interested in things, they look you up, they see you have a shop, and lo and behold, orders start coming in. And that was probably the key moment when I realized that LinkedIn can be used to sell. Remember, this was, I'm going to say nearly 20 years ago, but it was not uncommon for us to get $500 gift hampers for someone who was going on maternity leave. Now, $500 is a lot of money for one order. And the thing is, they don't even care what goes into the basket. They just want it to be great. And so the great thing about those sorts of orders is that, one, it brings you in new customers because the people who are potentially out there searching, the admin people who are putting together the baby hamper, they're out there looking for new businesses. And then when the hamper gets delivered to the lucky mum-to-be, then in this case, everybody in the workplace gets to see that hamper and they learn about your business. And so it still surprises me to this day that I would say 95% of the retailers that we work with aren't even on LinkedIn. They don't even have a profile on LinkedIn. And so something as simple as posting once a week could be the difference between, one, you getting lots of orders, but more importantly, you will be getting access to a lot of customers. And I can guarantee you that the majority of your competitors are not doing this. I don't know why, but retailers seem to forget that LinkedIn is an amazing place where people hang out quite often for a very long time. And because it is not blatantly selling, then people take an interest in the business. And so, especially if you are the face of your business, LinkedIn can be the perfect place for you to find professional customers who work for a living and a very good chance that they have a nice, healthy income to be able to spend money with you. I'm going to say that LinkedIn is probably the most overlooked social media platform for retail and e commerce, which means if you are using it, then you are going to cut through the noise. And the great thing is, you don't even have to do ads. You can just post and people will see your post because it is not as crowded as your TikToks and your Pinterest and your Facebook and your Instagram. Okay, so that is my first strategy for you to go and get yourself more customers. The second one is, again, one that I think is bleedingly obvious, but so many people don't do it. And that is collaborating with your suppliers or your distributors. Now, when it comes to collaborations, most retailers will focus on either another brand or using influencers, paying influencers to promote their product. The thing is, your suppliers or your distributors have got your customers wrapped up with a bow. Now, you are hoping when you team up with another brand or an influencer that your customers are going to be part of their audience. But when it comes to a brand, so one of the suppliers that you work with or one of the brands that you work with, they have your customers because your customers are buying their stuff. It's kind of like again, it's a no-brainer to me. They 100% have your customers because that is the people who are following them. So what if you actually, put yourself out there, or your marketing person put themselves out there and actually stopped doing things ad hoc and last minute and worked with your brands, with your suppliers, with your distributors to create unique offers that drive customers to your website, not everybody's website. And again, so many retailers don't do this. They just rely on the brands to tell them what the next promotion is. But good brands will work with you to create a promotion that drives people to your business. And remember, they have your customer. That's why your customer is following them. And one of our 5X retailers did this for Black Friday. They teamed up with a supplier to create a really unique Black Friday offer that was not discounting. And the great thing was the supplier was able to direct a lot of customers to both their store and their website because nobody else had this offer. So the supplier sets themselves apart, the brand sets themselves apart because they have some exclusivity going on with different stores. They get to use the content. They can use it for their social. They can use it for their newsletters. And the retailer gets something nobody else has. One, access to all these people coming for this amazing brand's offer. But two, something that sets them apart from their competitors. I mean, heck, just making sure that you are listed as a stockist on a brand or supplier's page drives free traffic into your store or to your website. And you would be surprised how many retailers never bother to check that they're listed as somewhere, as a stockist, as somewhere that people can go to buy this product. And there is no more a qualified buyer than someone who is sitting on a brand's website. Am I right? All right. So let's just quickly recap. 1, let's look at using LinkedIn. 2, let's look at starting to work with our brands and our suppliers and our distributors to get access to their customers. My third and final for today way of you getting more customers is one that Kimberly has used really successfully. So Kimberly has an e-commerce store that sells fabric. So you might think, okay, where is Sal going with this? Kimberly has realized that her traffic has dropped. And before she spends any more money on ads, she wanted to try out a few different things. I mean, ads are expensive right now. So I asked Kimberly, who are your best spending customers? And I was actually quite surprised at the answer because she said millennials. I thought she was going to say older ladies who love to sew. But no, she caters to millennials. And millennials right now are balking at fast fashion. And so Kimberly knows what is trending right now, probably because she watches way too many TikTok videos. And so one of the things that we put together for Kimberly was to hold an online event. Now, events are usually the domain of bricks and mortar stores. And if you are a bricks and mortar store and you are not holding events, that, my friends, is something that is going to drive new customers into your store. But you can also do it if you are a pure play e-commerce website. And so Kimberly decided to hold an online class on how to sew your own jumpsuit. Me, I love me a jumpsuit. Not quite sure if I would spend the time and effort to sew one, but clearly Kimberly's people are happy to do it. And so what she ended up doing was a complete promotion around this event, just like she would do with any other product launch of fabric or sewing machines or anything like that. She promoted it on social media, including LinkedIn. She listed it on as many event type websites, put a Facebook event up. She teamed up with one of her suppliers to have the fabric for the jumpsuit donated. And when she mentioned it to one of her sewing machine companies, they offered to sponsor the event and give away a sewing machine to one of the people who attended the class. I wasn't expecting that, but I was just like, hell yeah, we are going to make this thing huge. And so as you can imagine, now when it came to promoting the event, not only were the fabric and the sewing machine people promoting it to their customers, but also this opportunity to win a free sewing machine valued at a couple of $1,000 brought a lot more people into the event. So Kimberly then had access to, I'm going to say, hundreds of thousands of potential customers, all from this one event. Now, this is nothing new. If you've been around for a while, you know that bloggers have been doing this stuff for decades with sponsored posts. Brands have been teaming up together since the dawn of marketing to access each other's customers. But retailers and e-commerce store owners seem to forget that they can do this too. Now, quite often, people will say to me that they won't hold an event because they are too busy. There's those words again. But that's just a symptom, isn't it? The real obstacle is the fact that they need to, in this case, get more customers. So you could opt for a quick fix, like just trying to spend money on ads to drive more customers, or you could put the effort in and really make something like an event work. Now, maybe you don't sew, but you sell stuff. People have to design or make or style the things that you sell. So for your store, maybe you could do like a Meet the Maker event or Meet the Designer, a book signing, a product launch, a community meetup, or even like Kimberly, a masterclass or a webinar on something that is related to your store. Think about the types of events that are likely to bring those perfect customers in. What is the person who's spending? Kelly, what is Kelly buying? What is she interested in? And in my stores, we used to host everything. Like events were huge for us. And I did not have a big store. Our events, if we had to have chairs in our store, we could have like 7 chairs in our store. If it was a stand-up event, we could probably have around 20. But events used to make us thousands and thousands of dollars. We would host anything from a weekly mothers group to cooking demos, to book signings, to just a community meetup for mums who had babies. They always drew a crowd and usually they were sold out. We quite often charged for those events as well. So you can do that. You can charge for the event or you can hold them for free. Obviously, a free event is probably going to get you more customers in. When you charge for an event, it is going to bring less customers in, but you have more qualified customers. So the chances of them buying something is much higher than someone who comes in for free. So you can do an event as a one-off, or you can do it as a full customer acquisition strategy. You can do them regularly. Like I know brands that will do these kinds of masterclasses every single month, and it brings in hundreds, if not thousands, of new people into their store. So that is something that it's not going to be easy, right? To do a really good promotion, you have to put the time and the effort in, just like any other product launch. But when you do that, you end up with really engaged customers who want what you sell. Now, when I had my stores, I catered for maternity, so pregnant women up to the age of 2, which meant my customer life cycle was really short. I kind of had 3 years tops before I lost my customer. And so I worked out a little bit more slower than I would like that I had to be topping up that customer funnel every single day if I was going to keep making money. And the problems used to happen when I stopped doing customer acquisition, because generally anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months later, we would see a dip in our revenue. And because if you are just marketing to the same people over and over again, there's only so much that they can buy. So let's quickly recap what it's going to take for you to get more customers. First of all, you have to know when a problem is an obstacle or is it just a symptom. Which one is the one, like if you solved this problem, is it really an obstacle or is it a symptom of the bigger problem? You have to know who your best customer is and you have to know what your customer journey looks like. You have to have it really clearly mapped out so you can share it with everyone on your team, including agencies or coaches or mentors or contractors. Everyone should understand how people come into and move around your business. Now, the different ways that you can get more customers that I've talked about today are ones that seem, like I've said over and over again, they seem really obvious to me, but maybe you're overlooking them too. And they were LinkedIn, leveraging your brands, your suppliers, and your distributors, and using events, both virtual and in person, to get more customers. And if we can get more paying customers into your store, then it is obvious that your sales are going to increase, right? Just one of these strategies could literally double your sales. I've seen virtual events. In fact, I've seen real life events bring in anything like $15,000 and $20,000. So if you want more strategies like these, along with how to create a predictable and repeatable plan to increase your revenue, I would love to invite you to come and join my upcoming 5-day challenge, How to Double Your Sales in 90 Days. You'll be rolling up your sleeves and taking action to change the whole trajectory of your business. But not only will we be working on strategies to grow your business, but I'm going to be upfront and tell you we're going to be working on you, how you show up in your business, because I bet right now you are the driving force behind your business. So if you're feeling flat, or if you're in a rut, or if you're not coming up with great marketing ideas, then the business is going to suffer, right? So I'm teaching you the strategies and the mindset shifts that you need to make to double your sales in 90 days. I know it sounds big, it sounds bold. Bold is one of our core values here at the Retail Strategists. But if you are ready to come along and learn how to do it, I'll be giving you some real life examples that you can take away and put in place in your retail or e-commerce business. And just like this podcast, if you take just one of the strategies away and put it in place, how many more customers could you get? How much more money could you make? How many more sales could you have coming in? But you have to do the work. Just like simply listening to this podcast isn't going to change anything in your business. You have to take the action. So I don't want you listening in on your phone whilst you're walking your dog or running on a treadmill or driving the kids. Hopefully you're not listening to drive the kids, because sometimes I do use curse words. Driving your kids to school and thinking, that's a really cool idea. I want you to commit to taking action, and it is going to be the exact same thing in this challenge as what I've been talking about here. I can give you some of the symptoms and I can help you understand the obstacles. What we're going to do is focus on the obstacle that is going to change your business and get you closer to the result that you need to make. So if you're happy to show up and do the work, I would love to see you there. Head on over to selinaknight.com/challenge, and I want you to secure your spot. I'll be teaching these classes and you'll learn all about my mistakes, just like today. I'll share with you a lot of the mistakes that I've made and the strategies that are working, both for me and inside of the businesses of our clients, what is working right now and what you have to implement in your business to see results. So come along and put in the work and get your business on the trajectory to double your sales in 90 days. Head over to selinaknight.com/challenge to secure your spot, and I look forward to seeing you there. So that's a wrap. I'd love to hear what insight you've gotten from this episode and how you're going to put it into action. If you're a social kind of person, follow me at @TheSelinaKnight and make sure to leave a comment and let me know. And if this episode made you think a little bit differently, or gave you some inspiration, or perhaps gave you the kick that you needed to take action, then please take a couple of minutes to leave me a review on your platform of choice. Because the more reviews the show gets, the more independent retail and e-commerce stores just like yours that we can help to scale. And when that happens, it's a win for you, a win for your community, and a win for your customers. I'll see you on the next episode.